My friends and colleagues, thank you very much for the coming, and let's make the very interesting panel for today. And as you know, we have today very interesting topic: the payments, the future of I would say financial system, which are already reshaping, and we know that the open banking and other financial new instruments are very, very rapidly developing in Georgia, and not only in Georgia, but in whole world. So I would like to start our discussion with general in current trends. What's going on in payment system? What's the new trends? What's the situation on the market? Let me start with Giorgi, because Giorgi is directly involved in this sector, and I think it will be more fruitful to start with him.
Thank you, David. I'm happy to be here to see this much people. As you mentioned, I'll try to be as interesting as possible. Yeah. So I'm representing Flitt as its CEO. We are operating in 4 countries, so we have pretty much some experience of what's happening in the region. We're doing pretty much 100,000 transactions a day. And what we are seeing currently, as we are currently in Georgia, Georgia is way far ahead, but we are also in Moldova, Armenia, and Uzbekistan as our markets. And generally, there is very huge interest in the payments business, and competition is rising, and it's getting more and more important of how you present your payment process to your end customers. And this is very interesting for us, and I'm looking forward to diving into this more. Thank you.
Thank you, Giorgi. Really, your company is very rapidly developing, not only in Georgia, but in our nearest neighbor countries. And I think you have a good opportunity to become the global company. And it's an honor to be from Georgia. Katie, you are the person who travels a lot. And I'm sure, and you are involved in Fintech a lot of years. So I'm sure you know what's going on in the global stage. What's going on from the Olympus? Let's ask me the same at this moment.
Thank you, David, for the question. I'm representing Latvian fintech company Tvino, which is one of the largest P2P lending company. And currently I'm managing the IT lab in Georgia. And I have the privilege actually to have the witness, to be a part of the witness, how the transformation in the European Union has been going and how they merge with the fintech players, what has been the background history of that, and most importantly, to evaluate the current situation in Georgia. The payments are shifting from the traditional banking system towards API-based and data-enriched systems. But whatever is the most important, that the technology is the one aspect of such a transformation. The most important is also the knowledge sharing, and the European Union is one of the main blueprints that we can take as a ground and a framework for such transformations. And of course, like without such technological advancements and the knowledge sharings in the isolation, it's utterly impossible to reach ecosystem development. So when I witness the part of the shifts, how the traditional banking is moving towards the fintech development, what I can name, whatever is happening in this sector, is a collaboration. And then we're going to explore, I guess, into the panel, what does it mean, what does it encompasses, and I will be willing to share the westernized competencies and their approaches.
Thank you, Katie. When we talk about any kind of business, that is impossible to go forward without the payments. And as I know, there is a lot of startups which we have not only in Georgia but in all Europe and the US as well. And one of the, most of the startups are included in the payments direction. So I would like to ask the Vasil. He's an investor not only in Georgia, but as I know, you are looking at the international international startups as well. So could you please tell us what is your opinion about the payment startups? Is there any real potential startups in payment systems or payment solutions? And what is the main moment on which the investors are looking at?
Um, Good day, everybody. Thank you for inviting in this interesting event. I'm Vasil Khodeli. I'm now representing Valtryx Capital, which is basically investing in vehicle, which is investing also in tech as well. Well, the question again, does the payment system, I mean the fintechs, do have a kind of future? That was the question, and what are the investors looking at? I would say yes, and definitely, especially in the light of new technologies emerging, which basically enable the technologies to become seamless and flexible. They might be really ahead of the kind of incumbent players on the market, like the particular players are like banks, for instance, with old technologies and so on and so on. Though in the Georgian market, we do have quite well-developed technology players in the form of the banks, especially the first two, I mean, number one, number two banks. But still, in the light of the infrastructure which is built on related to open banking, definitely the new operators would have a potential to develop. And what the investors are looking to is this is technology, and not only the payment itself, but payment to my knowledge, and what I think is kind of a additional tool to something else. So basically, this something else has to be something, the issue of the customer or the pain point which you solve, and then afterwards payment comes. However, there are some other certain technologies related to the, for instance, the crypto fiat interoperability, which in my opinion is a kind of new possibility, and especially if we kind of start doing this kind of system and supporting this system in Georgia, we also might become the hub for it. So that's in a nutshell. So technology, and first of all, whether really there is an issue which is kind of solved of a customer, and who is customer, and all the other kind of stuff, which is the standard situation. But again, what do you solve, and whether there is a kind of expandable technology and scalable technology. That's what I'm looking at.
Thank you, Vasil. So we have to, so new payment startups and new technology startups should be concentric on the customer and customers' demand and customers' needs. So before I will start the second question, which will be directed to all of your panelists, I would like to ask Misha. Misha is the CEO of Open Banking, and he's not only person who developed the open banking in Georgia, but he has a lot of projects which was directed in financial system and other business sectors. So, Misha, not about the open banking, but generally, what is the current situation in payments, and how do you see the future of payments before we start talking about the open banking? Kapanadze.
Okay, so thank you for, first of all, for inviting. When it comes to payments, we know that there are, when we talk, for example, about in-store payments, when you're walking in the store and paying something there, there is like multiple years of like UX polishing of card-based payments and like NFC and contactless payments and stuff like that. And right now, due to the emergence of open banking, some new payment methods are coming in. So what I can say is that there is kind of competition already at some level by means of tariffs, by means of user experience. So right now we are in the middle of thinking which one is better for what. There are some forces who say that old traditional methods are easier. New forces who say that new methods are cheaper, whatever. So we are right now somewhere in the middle. When it comes to e-commerce, for example, e-commerce is a little bit different thing. So here there is also potential of like shifting from traditional card-based or whatever-based payments to something new. So I would say that current situation is that. So we have these traditional, very comfortable, let's say, payment methods, but some new methods arrive, and there is still like discussion of which one is better for what, and let's see what will happen in future.
Thank you, Misha. So, guys, we are all maybe ex-bankers. Yes, I'm a current banker as well, and all we know how works the commercial bank, and what means to be a banker, and how you should look at the financial system. Why I'm saying that before now, approximately 10 years, maybe 15 years before, the exclusively product of payments was the only of the commercial banks. No one can before present the payment solution before any commercial banks. But we see that from 2008, Fintech sector was developed, and there was growth very rapidly. And now we have already open banking, which has already reshaped the not only financial system, but I would say it has already reshaped the whole business sector. And my question is, does really open banking has the opportunity to create something different and something, I would say, alternative financial system from the commercial banks? And how commercial banks would take the position in this regard? And I will start with Misha, of course, because he's the main person about it.
Okay, so regarding banks and yes, of course, it's not always easy to, let's say, to look at something new when you have something which works already. More or less, like, okay, there may be some traditional things, but okay, some new things come. And when we talk about open banking, and PSD2 especially, PSD2 introduced some restrictions, some requirements, some strict requirements, let's say, which are interpreted in a different way, right? Even right now, and this is a kind of dispute between, not only here, it's like it's traditional thing. So the same thing happened in Europe, and I guess it's still happening. So will somebody replace banks, or it will be just a collaboration, some sort of? And okay, we as an association, I'm like representing Banking Association, of course. I am pro collaboration, and our open banking was from the very beginning about the collaboration. So of course, we want to keep this collaboration spirit generally, and we think that it will be, in the end, ultimately it will be a collaboration. So it will not be, of course, some new methods will come, new sources will come where money comes from. It can be not only bank accounts, but whatever else accounts, with the same simplicity which we have right now from the bank accounts. But in the end of the day, it will be collaboration. This is what I think.
Thank you, Misha. For my opinion, the open banking is not only, for example, something new instrument for the payment, but I think that it creates new business model. And from my opinion, it's API business models. It's totally something different by which any startup can develop something very new. And my question to Vasil, as an investor, how do you see the potential of the API business model? Does it will be really future of the, not only for the payments, but for the any other startups as well?
Thank you for the question. Well, again, when we are speaking about the kind of payments, I think the payment is a part, again, as I mentioned, of the bigger ecosystem. So, and speaking about the payments and speaking about the open banking, I think we should kind of agree what we want to get out of it. And then what we want to get out of it in Georgia, for instance. Because we are in Georgia, and basically there is a lot of talk that let's make Georgia the financial hub as well, because, you know, we have a potential, but nobody has agreed what is financial hub, basically. So, and I think if you ask me personally, there should be the bigger strategy, and this, all the stuff we're talking about right now, open banking, PSD2, payments as a part of it, it should be viewed from that prism. So again, coming to the point, so about the open banking, what is open banking and what role it should play and what is the potential of it, right? So I'm coming from the point of the financial hub, if that's an idea. So if we want to have a financial hub, I think Georgia has to try be ahead of even Europe in terms of PSD2. So I'll give you an example. So PSD2 in the beginning was not only covering financial sector, but also, for instance, telecommunications. So in terms of data, which is the core stuff, right? So we need to reprocess the data and make the informative decisions. That's what that is all about. So again, the payment is basically, what is payment? Payment is the everyday life which brings kind of everyday traction for the customer, and that's why you need the payment, one of the stuff. So coming back to the point of open banking, if we want to be something different on a global radar, I think we have to be ahead of the even PSD2 initiatives, trying to cover not only financial sector, but also some other sectors as well, switching to universal APIs and not the APIs we are doing right now, for instance, because, for instance, every bank now has their own APIs, right? Which complicates the life of the newcomers coming to Georgia, and this could be either Georgians or from the regional as well. So we have to create the environment here, which basically enables to some of the players come to Georgia and experiment or even settle down, like anchoring in Georgia. And then this is how I look at it, and that's the major idea. So again, it doesn't have a future, yes. What this should be not only financial sector, but other sectors as well, like telco, for instance, healthcare, for instance, and so on. So I'll give you an example, the other one as well. In Europe, there is a special code act which also regulates the telco kind of information sharing principles as well. So we are not doing anything on it. So again, to the question, it should be universal API system basically, and then connections with banks and the other systems as well. Public services too, which is another kind of untapped opportunity for Georgia. So, and yeah, it should be the governmental thinking, not just the national bank which regulates, you know, the open banking and so on. This is how I look at it. So APIs, yes. Universal, yes. Interoperability, yes. So that we are ahead of even Europe. Maybe it's too ambitious, but that's how I look at it.
Totally agree, Vasil. It's really right direction, and you pay attention about the simplification and totally simplification of the APIs. And George, you have direct experience in this regard because we know that the already commercial banks has introduced the different types of APIs of different services, and your company is using already these APIs. What is the experience? How it works? What is the challenges? What is the problems? What can you say?
So basically, where do we come from? Yeah, where people, when they decided to make a purchase, they needed to go to a PC or a desktop, think about it for a while, do the transaction. Then we got Apple Pay, Google Pay, which made it easier a lot. And as the payments are pretty much vital of every consumer's life, because you need to pay at least several times a day, the experience needs to be really seamless. Without it, there's not much adoption, yeah? even considering all the API complications that we have, assuming that someone would handle it, there's still a lot of challenges there in terms of experience, in terms of trust, in terms of the adoption as of now. But on the positive note, yeah, from where we are operating, we see that Georgia in open banking, we already have the infrastructure, we have some transactions already, we have merchants interested in it. So maybe not ahead of Europe, but ahead of Asia we could be. We also see that, for example, in UK, open banking has been there for like 7 years, I think. And it's still pretty much, they're asking the same questions as we are, nearly. So there's still much to learn. There are new use cases that we're trying to explore. There are some businesses, let's say low margin business models where card payments would not be applicable because then the business is done. While with open banking and reduced costs and optimized process, they could also get the benefits and fruits of having easy automated payments process for their consumers, which means their growth and satisfaction on the customer side. So yeah, that's how I would sum up the situation. We're somewhere, but there's also room to fill it up and continue the development further.
That's why we have the Misha.
For
Misha,
sure.
Okay. Okay, just small thing to add. Totally agree with Vasil regarding APIs generally, so everything, like standardization of everything. One of the things we decided to do by ourselves when we started working on that is to be kind of model of like talking, like collaboration of the banks who are competitors between each other, but who they still adhere to the same standard. So there is same standard for exposing APIs in banking sector. We worked very hard with regulators. So our open banking project is kind of example project when it comes to regulatory body, the regulated entities and their association. What we want to happen here is that we serve an example to another industries, including governments, to be in coordination between each other and build this coordination and coordinated efforts in their sector and then cross-sector. So this is very important thing, and we will be happy to share our experience with like fellow industries because we learned a lot. And regarding the seamless experience, one very important thing, George mentioned very important words that let's think about where we are coming from. So we are coming from very closed infrastructures, and within few years we opened it. Now, yes, it's time to think of more comfort, more user experience, etc. But we came from closed infrastructure.
We have to create more broadened door, maybe,
yeah.
I would say, for the opening.
Yes,
yeah?
and not sacrificing trust and not sacrificing security at the same time. Okay. Because in financial sector, this is paramount. If you lose the trust, nobody cares about your UX then.
Okay, and from the global perspectives, Keti, maybe it's a secret, but still I have to ask, do your company, I mean Twino of course, do have some visions about the open banking? Are they going to enter in this new era, or what is the vision of the global companies?
Thank you for this question. I wanted to actually emphasize the importance what the PSD second gave to European fintech market and how it developed. First of all, this is not only a technological advancement, but it's actually like a shift from traditional banking thinking that the owners of the financial data are not the banks itself. They are giving the rights and the full control to the customers to choose who will be the service provider. They are choosing with whom they will be sharing this data, and they will be choosing the customers actually what kind of financial services and products they will be using. Otherwise, we would have never heard about Revolut, TransferWise, Cabbage, Klarna, etc. All of those startups has been actually like rising up from these such blueprints that European Union has been disseminated. And I want to mention that that when we are speaking about the API, it's not only an API dissemination or some unified API, it's all about the approach. And the approach is shifting from data ownership toward the collaboration, where, of course, there is a no competition rather than the joint collaboration that it's bringing a new product and disruptive technologies. That's what we need to emphasize.
Thank you, Katie. We have a lot to talk about this topic, but unfortunately time is ticking, and they mentioned that we have only just 3 minutes. And the final question, guys. This question, of course, from my perspective as a head of association, because for us, one of the main challenges on the fintech sector development is the question collaboration or competition. From the global perspective, I can say that there is already became the era when the commercial banks and fintech companies are starting collaboration. But what we have in Georgia, how do you see it? And I would like to start this question with Vasil. Vasil, you are some kind of middle person between maybe banks and fintechs, and you are not a side, I would say. So what is your vision? How do you see the collaboration fintechs and commercial banks in Georgia?
Look, guys, thank you for the question. So I'm really, even if you ask me now, I'm still speaking of some of the banks like we. So I'm kind of just as kind of a new guy in terms of making investments and becoming an investor. So I'm kind of an enterprise guy still, like with 25 years experience in banking, in various positions. And yeah, what I'm saying is I'm trying to kind of move out, like calling myself like the banker, and kind of starting and shifting my mindset towards the more of an entrepreneur. So question, collaboration or the competition, that is the question, or what's the question? You know, I'm the guy who likes the competition. So, yeah, Misha is the guy who loves collaboration, of course, but you know, what drives the business, basically, it's a competition. However, it depends what the context is. Definitely, in order to start with something, if there is a chance for the startups to start with the collaboration, and basically in a competitive environment like in Georgia we do have, I would basically love to see that kind of scenario. But again, there are kind of two sides of the coin. So one thing is collaboration, meaning that some of the guys would find definitely like the points where they would kind of find the place where they would kind of make it happen to collaborate. However, the banks also have to shift somehow their mindsets too, that, you know, that's not everything they can do, and sometimes they have to collaborate. So it's a combination of many things. If you ask me personally, I like competition. That's my personal kind of idea. However, the regulator and the landscape has to be kind of prepared in a way that there should be the room for the collaboration too. So personal preference, competition, but there have to be the ground for the competition. If there is no ground for the competition, how can you compete with giants, for instance, right? But yes, there is a solution for it in a clever way. I think I've seen some of the rare cases, but still the cases, on the backstage we discussed one case, the small. But again, so my personal preference is competition, but we need some conditions to that as well. But collaboration is also an option.
Thank you, Vasil. George, what do you say? You are directly fintech, and don't forget, and don't speak from the perspective of the bank, from the fintech.
So basically, the way I look at it, competition versus collaboration, they don't fully contradict each other. So you don't have to choose either one or the second. Without competition, we're done for sure. We won't move forward. There won't be new products, new systems, whatever, new values that we create. So competition is crucial. But there are some aspects where without collaboration, and then you'll probably pass the word to Misha, who'll say that, for instance, for open banking, collaboration is crucial because if we don't set up a system where all the parties are interested, so everyone needs to be happy, so it could be sustainable and it could grow and develop further. So I wouldn't say one or the other. I would say let's go for both, but agree on the part where competition is more important than, that should not be touched.
That's why, guys, there is no ex-bankers. They are always bankers. Misha, what do you say?
Okay, so let's say it this way. We have years of competition for now, so everybody were competing with each other as much as they could. I think there is, within this competition period, there comes time when it's better to stop, look around and see that actually you and maybe your competitor have the very same pain points. So let's stop here, collaborate a little bit, and then continue. So it's like, I would say, it's sometimes it's called competition, sometimes in collaboration, in the right places and right like points of time. And for me right now, when it comes to open banking, when it comes to innovative payment methods or whatever, I think that right now it's still time for a collaboration. After some time, we will be it will be easy, then time for competition again, for sure. But now I think for this very time, it's time for collaboration. And then let's see, and competition will become more funny, I think, after that.
That was a really interesting point. Now is the time for collaboration, and afterwards we can talk about the competition. Katie, I hope you will be on my side.
Of course, I know that we are in a short of time, so I'm going to mention the most important. The biggest threat for the fintech is collaboration that is written on the paper, and in reality there is an unhealthy competition. So I wish that whatever is actually disrupting the technologies and advancement of the ecosystem of the fintech is actually a real-time collaboration where mutual benefits are shared. Both of the parties are understanding why this product is on the market, and then healthy competition is coming up. So I wish all the Georgian ecosystem to have such an independency level to compete with the products.
Thank you, my dear colleagues. Let's together reshape the financial system and get it better and better for not only for us, for all the country and all the economy. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed our discussion.